Tashi Delay, and welcome to the AWAM Tibetan Buddhist Institute and our Sunday meditation hour. Glad that you could join us, those of you who are present and those of you watching on Facebook Live. So if you don't have a copy of the practice manual and would like to get a copy, you can get it from our website at awaminstitute.org and go to the resources page and you can download it from there. So we begin on page 1 with the blessing mantra. Well, first let's sound the conch shell to invite all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to join with us. Now that they have joined us, let's begin with the blessing mantra. Om Sambara Sambara Bhimana Sara Mahasambhava Humpi Soha. Om Sambara Sambara Bhimana Sara Mahasambhava Humpi Soha. Om Sambara Sambara Bhimana Sara Mahasambhava Humpi Soha. Four thoughts that turn the mind. Homage to Samattabhadra and Samattabhadri, because I suffer due to my own actions and I now have this precious human life without knowing when I will die, I will now engage in virtuous actions for the benefit of all sentient beings with joy and devotion. Therefore, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent in order to enable all sentient beings to attain enlightenment. I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent in order to enable all sentient beings to attain enlightenment. I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent in order to enable all sentient beings to attain enlightenment. And then bodhicitta. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness which is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Vajrasattva and Vajratopa appear above me, purifying me and all beings and phenomena with nectar from the place of their union. And the 100-syllable mantra, page 2. Om Benza Sato Samaya Manupalaya Benza Sato Tenopa Tishtadrido Me Bawa Sutokayo Me Bawa Supokayo Me Bawa Anurakto Me Bawa Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Karma Sutta Me Chitin Triya Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sarva Kata Kata Benza Mame Munta Benzi Bawa Mahasamaya Sato Om Benza Sato Samaya Manupalaya Benza Sato Tenopa Tishtadrido Me Bawa Sutokayo Me Bawa Supokayo Me Bawa Anurakto Me Bawa Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Karma Sutta Me Titin Shriya Guru Hong Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sarva Tata Kata Benze Mame Munza Benzi Bawa Mahasamaya Sato Om Benza Sato Samaya Manupalaya Benza Sato Tenopa Tishtadrido Me Bawa Sutokayo Me Bawa Supokayo Me Bawa Anurakto Me Bawa Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Karma Sutta Me Titin Shriya Guru Hum Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tata Kata Benze Mame Munzan Benzi Bawa Mahasamaya Sato. In the mandala offering, the Vikayas. Om Ahom. In the Dharmakaya pure realm, Dharmadhatu equality, the realms of the five Sambhogakaya families self-appear unobstructedly, along with the array of Namanakaya pure realms that fill all of space. All this I offer as Samatavajra's clouds of great bliss. Om Ratna Mandala Puja Mega Samudra Saparana Samaya Ahom. And we continue with this short 7-limb prayer. Whatever merit I have gathered through prostrations, offering, confession, rejoicing, requesting, and praying for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, all this I dedicate. 7-line prayer, Guru Yoga. Home, in the northwest of the land of Oregon, in the heart of a lotus flower, endowed with the most marvelous attainments, you are renowned as a lotus-born, surrounded by many hosted dakinis. Following in your footsteps, I pray to you, come and bless me with your grace. Guru Pema City Home. Home, in the northwest of the land of Oregon, in the heart of a lotus flower, endowed with the most marvelous attainments, you are renowned as a lotus-born, surrounded by many hosted dakinis. Following in your footsteps, I pray to you, come and bless me with your grace. Guru Pema City Home. Home, in the northwest of the land of Oregon, in the heart of a lotus flower, endowed with the most marvelous attainments, you are renowned as a lotus-born, surrounded by many hosted dakinis. Following in your footsteps, I pray to you, come and bless me with your grace. Guru Pema City Home. The mantra. Om Ahum Benza Guru Pema City Home. 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 Ahum Benza Guru Pema City Home. Om 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 Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Om Ahum is a girl up in the city home. Then we continue at the top of page 3. Light radiates from the Guru's 4 places into my 4 places, purifying my body, speech, mind, and all subtle obscurations, granting the 4 empowerments and planting the 4 seeds. The Guru dissolves into light and merges inseparably into myself. So it's our meditation, dissolve visualization, just rest in the natural state of pure awareness. Any distractions, thoughts come up, just let them go, refocus your attention. So we'll meditate for about 5 minutes. Okay, now we have a Dharma talk. And as we talked about before, that we're going to go into a little more depth in the Dharma talks than we have been doing for the last number of years. And we're starting a series of 3 today on the 3 statements of Garab Dorje. And so we'll start with the actual 3 statements, and then I have 3 other sources of comments or commentaries on that in increasing levels of depth and so forth. So we'll go deeper and deeper into the parts. And so we'll do kind of an overview, an introduction today, and then we'll actually go into the first of the 3 statements, and then next week we'll do number 2, and then the week after that we will do number 3. And the information that I have here is from Lotsawa House with a few little comments of my own worked in here or there. And so you can get all of these from them. Just look up Garab Dorje and you can find all of these there. So the first one, as I said, are the 3 statements that strike the vital point by Garab Dorje. So these are the actual 3 statements, very concise. The first one, introducing directly the face of rigpa itself. So we're introducing this idea of rigpa, which translates literally as pure awareness, although there are some variations in translations. So awareness itself. And then number 2 is deciding upon one thing and one thing only. Okay, so we're really focusing in on one particular thing, and that one thing is rigpa. The third one is confidence directly in the liberation of rising thoughts. And so this has something to do with thoughts coming and going and developing a certainty about all of that. Okay? So those are the 3 statements. Is that enough? Not quite? Okay, we will go on. So then there's also a summary by Dudjom Rinpoche. So this is a commentary of sorts. It's still pretty concise. And so the translations of each of the statements are the same. So the first one is introducing directly the face of rigpa in itself. And so with that, I'm going to kind of merge this together with a little bit more elaborate version of this by Mipham Rinpoche. And then we'll go to the third one that's even more elaborate, word by word type of commentary, if you will. That is by Patrul Rinpoche. Okay, so 3 very, very famous practitioners, deepest kind of experts that we could ever imagine for this purpose. So introducing directly the face of rigpa itself, Dudjom Rinpoche says, introducing directly the face of naked mind as the rigpa itself. So mind is, rigpa is awareness, pure awareness. The innate primordial wisdom. So it's also referred to as primordial wisdom. In fact, we find as we study these things, there are a number of terms that get used to refer to that. But rigpa is the common one, pure awareness, or you might say the ability to be aware, or you might say it's the awareness before you become aware of things. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go on. So Mipham Rinpoche's commentary is also fairly short here. So there's 1 verse for each of these. And so he calls this the pith instruction on the 3 crucial statements. So the first one is ordinary cognizance, free and open, incommunicable in words. You must know it for yourself. Kind of a gnosis or an experiential kind of knowing. When fabrication and fixation are naturally eliminated. Okay, so elaborating with other kinds of thoughts or fixating on other kind of things. That is what is called knowing the essence of mind. And so again, the essence of mind here is that rigpa. So then we go on to Patrul Rinpoche's version of this. So the third translation here is, well, there's first a little root text as an introduction to the actual first part of this. And so it says, homage to the master. The view is Longchen Rabjam. and of course that's Longchenpa, if you're familiar with it in that form. Infinite, vast, expanse. So he's comparing a name to a particular feature, quality. And so Longchenpa with infinite, vast expanse, like space. Meditation is Khyentse Ozer, which is Jigme Lingpa, probably more familiar with that name. Rays of wisdom and love. So Jigme Lingpa is using as wisdom and love, or rays radiating out of wisdom and love. And then the action is Gawe Nukyu, one that's probably not known as well, but he is a teacher of Patrul Rinpoche, so he's giving respect to his own teacher, if you will, as a part of that. And so he says, action is the Gawe Nukyu, that of the Bodhisattva. So here he's bringing in the Bodhisattva element. So he's covering all three things, this vast expanse, beyond thoughts, if you will, and then the rays, the manifestations of that in the form of wisdom and love, and then the bodhisattvas in terms of the application in how we relate to other people. So it's a really kind of neat way of bringing all of those things together. And then he continues, as one who practices in such a way may well attain enlightenment in this very life. And even if not, what happiness, what joy, ah la la. And then he goes on with a more in-depth commentary here. This is the word for word commentary. And so he goes into this and he says, homage to the incomparable Lord of compassion, my root master in all his kindness. And so, homage to the master, so that's from the root, in order to explain in a few crucial points how to take heart the practice of view, meditation, and action, listed all of those three. First of all, as the Lama embodies the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, simply to pay homage to him or her alone is to pay homage to all sources of refuge everywhere. Okay? So even in our ordinary practice, like we took refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, when we take refuge in those, or a refuge in a particular Lama, or root Lama, and so forth, that's taking refuge in all of these different things. All of the deities, all of those kind of aspects are being included as a part of that. All sources of refuge. And continues on, now for the main subject. If you take the practice to heart, while recognizing that the root and lineage masters are all inseparable from the true nature of your mind, so we all have the same nature of mind, which happens to be rigpa, okay? Well, that's one of the expressions for that. Our Buddha nature is another one. This embodies the actual practice, the view, meditation, and action. So view, meditation, and action are explained here by relating them to the meaning of the root and lineage masters' names. So that was the verse in that brief commentary part of it that he mentioned. First, the view is the realization that all infinite appearances, and he uses the word rabjam, of samsara and nirvana in their entirety are perfectly contained by nature equal within all-encompassing space of the vast expanse, Longchen, of Buddha nature, which is the true nature of reality, free from any elaboration or complexity. And so, in the actual phrase from the verse, the view is Longchen Rabjam. So you can see where those names come from. Infinite, vast expanse, like space. Then he talks about meditation. This view of the freedom from all elaboration, which would be words, concepts, those kind of things, is realized conclusively with the wisdom that is the insight of Vipassana. So wisdom here is kin. And so to rest evenly and one-pointedly in that state of shunyata, emptiness, without ever separating from the skillful means of the shamatha, calm abiding meditation, of loving compassion, tse, is the meditation that unites emptiness and compassion. So emptiness and compassion become one together. We often talk about enlightenment itself as being the union of those two, as one taste. So, in the actual verse again, or the line from the verse, meditation is Khyentse Ozer, rays of wisdom and love. So Khyentse was the phrases that he was referring to as identifying that. And again, the rays of wisdom and love radiating out from the essence. Then the third one, action, is to be imbued with such a view and meditation that then to practice the 6 perfections, and of course those are generosity, ethics, patience, persistence or effort, or joyful effort I like, concentration, and wisdom. So practice those as part of the action so as to benefit others. So that is one of the key bodhisattva sets of practices that we do by Patrul Rinpoche, and his the way of the bodhisattva, or gets translated slightly different than that, but that's the main text there. So he's referring to those 6 perfections, benefiting others in keeping with the ways of the bodhisattvas, the new shoots of the bodhisattvas, new shoots, those new bodhisattvas who are not yet Buddhas. So action is Gawe, Nugyu, that of the bodhisattvas. And then to show how fortunate is the person who practices such view, meditation, and action, one who practices in such a way. Text part. Then he goes on, those who are able to seclude themselves, whether mentally or physically, in isolated retreat. The key part is retreat. It's not just isolating yourself, but doing so in a retreat. But put aside the worldly cares and activities of this life. And so this is kind of a reference to the 8 worldly concerns, which we see a lot of times in the texts. Those are 4 pairs of 2 opposites that we get caught up with a lot of times in this life. So you might say they're opposite extremes. So on one hand we have sense pleasures, and on the opposite end of that are sufferings that we experience. And then fame and insignificance. And then praise and blame. And then gain and loss. So those 8 are things that are characterized by the Buddha as problems in this life that create suffering for us, even though sufferings is one of the specifics that is also mentioned there as a part of that. So those activities in this life, we get caught up in those, and practice single-mindedly, focused attention, usually shamatha, but it can be jnanas or dhyanas and so forth, will gain liberation in their very lifetime in the ground of primordial purity. So may well attain enlightenment in this very life, is the saying in the verse. However, even if not, simply by turning your mind toward each view, meditation, and action, you will know how to transform all life's difficulties into the path. So as we go about this, we find ways, it's like a toolbox, and we learn how that we can apply things from our toolbox to deal with this variety of things that go on. You may have heard the word kleshas. It's a kind of a big collection of all of these kind of things. Maybe not all, but a large number of them. You will have less hope and fear about the preoccupations of this life, and in the next life you will go from happiness to happiness, one form of happiness to yet another. And even, so here's the line that's being referred to here, and even if not, what happiness, what joy, ah la la. And then he goes on, in order to explain step by step such a beneficial view, meditation, and action, first I wish to set out at greater length how to take to heart the practice and view. And as for the view, Longchen Rabjan, so that's the line again, the entire meaning of this imparted in this advice of the 3 statements for when they strike the vital point of practice, delusion is put to death. So through the practice, we get rid of delusion. Now, sometimes the word delusion is used, but more commonly we talk about it in terms of ignorance, so you've probably more likely heard that. But it's one of the three poisons. It's the root, if you will, of what's called the three poisons. So the three statements strike the vital point as a part of this. And so if we go back here, the root text then for that first one is introducing directly the face of rigpa itself. That's the statement. And so here's the part of the commentary in a verse form. As for the view, Longchen Rabjam, three statements strike the vital point. First, relax and release your mind. Neither scattered nor concentrated without thoughts. Okay, so we're not doing anything intentionally, we're just relaxing. While resting in this even state at ease, suddenly let out a mind-shattering pang! Fierce, forceful, and abrupt, amazing. There is nothing there, transfixed in wonder, struck by wonder, and yet all is transparent and clear. So the idea is when you shout out the pate, or a lot of times the Lama shouts it out for you, then it has a tendency to cause all of those thoughts and so forth to just, at least for a moment, disappear. Okay? That gives you a sense of what it is that we're trying to refer to here, because there are no thoughts. Fresh, pure, and sudden, so beyond description. Recognize this as the pure awareness of Dharmakaya. The first vital point, introducing directly the face of rigpa in itself. So then we go back to his more elaborate commentary on this. First is the method of introducing the view that has not yet been revealed. Generally speaking, there are many ways of bringing the view to realization. In the Sutrayana path of dialectics, the method of lungrig is employed, that is, using the scriptural authority of the teaching of the Buddha and the great masters, and through logic and reasoning arriving at the realization of the view. So that's a very conventional way. You go and you hear the teachings, or you go and you read books and so forth as a part of that, what we generally call study part of the practice, preparing for those things. And so that's one of the ways that you can actually get there. Then, according to the common approach of the secret Mantrayana, so this would be Tantra, by means of the wisdom of example in the third empowerment, which would be the wisdom empowerment, one is introduced to the real ultimate wisdom. In the and so that's the third wisdom, and okay, so that introduces you to the real ultimate wisdom. And then in the fourth empowerment, the word empowerment, here, according to the special approach of the great masters of the practice lineage, the nature of mind, the face of rigpa, is introduced in and upon the very dissolution of conceptual mind. So it's like when we're doing a deity practice. We go through, we do the visualization, maybe there's a text that describes the visualization, and then we recite a mantra, which is the speech of that particular deity, and then we do the dissolution. We just dissolve it, just like we did with our Guru Yoga. We dissolve it into emptiness, okay? And so that's conceptual mind. So we're letting go of all the conceptual mind. Amidst the churning waves of delusory thinking, the gross arising thoughts which run after the objects of perception obscure the actual face of mind's true nature. So thoughts come up. We go into that state of emptiness, but it's sometimes hard to hang on to it. Thoughts arise as a part of that, or other distractions as well. So even if we're introduced, you would not recognize it. Therefore, in order to allow these gross discursive thoughts to settle and clear, first relax and release the mind. Okay? So that is a good way, like shamatha. However, leaving your own mind relaxed and uncontrived is itself the wisdom of clear light. Read that again. Leaving your mind relaxed and uncontrived is itself the wisdom of clear light. Clear light is not like clear light bulb or something like that. Clear here refers to being lucid, like is that clear? And light here refers to illuminating, like gnosis kind of thing, so a direct experience of something. So what we're doing is we're getting clarification in our understanding when we use the word clear light. It's not like a light bulb or something like that. So paths that are contrived can never bring you to the realization of your true nature. And to signify that this uncontrived co-emergent wisdom is there, present within you, neither scattered nor concentrated, without thoughts, is the part of the line there. When you are a beginner, even if you maintain mind's fundamental state, resting naturally, it will not be possible for you to avoid fixation on the many experiences. We have lots of experiences when we do meditation, even from the very beginning, such as bliss, clarity, and non-conceptuality, that come in the state of calm and stillness. So the phrasing here is while resting in this state at ease. Then, to free yourself from the cocoon of attachment to experience, so he's a very interesting kind of a metaphor here of being trapped within this cocoon of experience through our attachment, lay bare the all-penetrating rigpa and reveal explicitly its true state. So one of the problems we can have is we become attached to the word rigpa itself, and it just becomes one more thing that's blocking us from actually experiencing it. So suddenly let out the mind-shattering pith. And then, since it is vital to cut through the flow of arising thoughts and destroy meditation made by the mind, conceptual meditation, the sound pith should be fierce, forceful, and abrupt. So the line was fierce, forceful, and abrupt. How amazing, Imaho. At this point, you are free from all fixed notions of what mind might be, and liberation itself is actualized. There is nothing there, transfixed in wonder. So we're not focused on anything, we're just resting in that state. In that state of Dharmakaya, devoid of any reference or reliance whatsoever, all penetrating naked awareness dwells. And so that phrase, naked awareness, is also, it's like, don't have any clothes on, so it's naked, but here that's about words or concepts. So it's naked in terms of that, just awareness itself, just as it is, as the wisdom that transcends the mind. So it's often referred to within the wisdom branch of Buddhism, and so it transcends mind. It just is. It's emptiness. And so, struck by wonder, and yet all is transparently clear. So as a result of the pith, you just kind of, you get it. And it's all clear. But it's an experiential clarity, not a conceptual clarity. This all-penetrating, unimpeded awareness, the pure awareness, is the key point of inexpressible and naturally inherent wisdom. Beyond all extremes, such as rising and ceasing, existing and non-existing, and so beyond words, and out of reach of mental inquiry. He's reinforcing that idea that it's kind of like, to use a metaphor, the empty space. Okay? Fresh, pure, and sudden, so beyond description. And then the crucial point here is that rigpa, which abides as the ground of Dharmakaya, is the primordial purity of the path of the yogins, the absolute view of freedom from all elaboration. There's nothing to elaborate in that sense. Until you recognize this one point, then whatever meditation or practice you do, you can never get beyond a fabricated, mind-made view and meditation. So that's what we're trying to do with this, is get beyond that, to transcend that. The difference between this and the approach of the natural Zopachimpo or Dzogchen is greater than that between the earth and sky. It does not possess the essential point, the unceasing flow of clear light, which is non-meditation. So other forms of meditation don't allow us, they get in the way, they block our path to getting to this level of understanding and experience. So it is most important, first of all, to recognize this and this alone. So the phrase from the verse, recognize this as the pure awareness of Dharmakaya. This then is the first of the three statements which strike the vital point. If the view has not been introduced and recognized, there is nothing to maintain in meditation. This is why it is so important, first and foremost, to be introduced to the view. So if we haven't been introduced to it, even if we saw it, we wouldn't recognize it. So that's why it's important to be introduced. And since the natural inherent wisdom is introduced as something natural and inherent in you, it is neither to be sought elsewhere, nor is it something that you did not have before, and that now arises newly in your mind. So, and then the last part of the verse, the first vital point is introducing directly the face of rigpa in itself. Okay, so that's the series of instructions at several different levels of detail, if you will, about this idea of rigpa and different words that we sometimes use as a part of that, like Dharmakaya. Dharmakaya translates literally as the truth body, or the heart essence is another one that we use, or Buddha nature is one that we use, emptiness is one that we use. There's lots of words, and they all have subtle variations of definition, if you will, as a part of that, but they're all trying to get at what it's talking about. The problem is they're words. Even rigpa is a word. And so that becomes something that can block us in the path. Now, it did point out early on that we can get to it directly or indirectly through study, reading, teachings, and so forth. So it is possible to get through it in that way. But this is an attempt to do it directly, experientially, as a part of that. And we begin by just resting our mind. Okay? I sometimes tell students, rest your brain, relax your brain, and you just kind of feel it going down through the rest of your body. And then it's just all gone. There's nothing there. But you can shout pet, but it's sometimes better if somebody else shouts pet for you. So if you want to record it, and then do it. So there's different ways of doing it, but the main point is to be able to just get to that state of complete relaxation without any kind of thoughts and so forth as a part of that. So one of the things that I said last week that I would attempt to do as a part of this is show you how this could be applied depending on what level of practice that you're at. So this is a little bit general, but beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So if you happen to be a beginner, then maybe it'd be good to, first of all, go outdoors. Outdoors meditation is very, very helpful, very relaxing. It's much easier to rest your mind when you go outdoors, especially if it's somewhere without distractions. Now, parks can be good places, but they can also be very distracting if there's lots of people and lots of kids running around yelling and screaming and all of those delightful things. But somewhere, a park where you can go out or go up on the mountain or something and just rest in that natural state without distractions. And then just sit, relax, just as we talked about, take a deep breath, and then out, just let that go down and relax all the way down. Okay. And then you can do that more times if you want to. Any kind of a distraction that arises, just do it again. Take a deep breath, relax, let it melt away. Okay? And just rest in that stillness. That becomes the practice. Now, if you're more of a intermediate kind of a state, maybe your main practice is more focused on deity type practice, for example. So we do the deity, as was mentioned in the text, with the dissolution And so into this emptiness, as I described it. And so we focus on that aspect as our practice. So when we dissolve into the emptiness in deity practice, after the mantra usually, we dissolve into that emptiness, and as a part of that dissolution, just feel it relaxing your brain, relaxing your body all the way down into emptiness. So we bring your body into the picture as well as your mind. If you're a more advanced practitioner, that is somebody who has some experience in some kind of non-conceptual practice, like you would in doing Dzogchen, Mahamudra, and some of those kind of things, just follow the instructions for what is in the text here, and at an appropriate time, just yell out, "Pay!" for yourself, and let that kind of create a more sudden experience of that. And then, having attained that experience, let it relax and dissolve as well. So there's 3 different levels with 3 slightly different variations. They're all essentially the same kind of thing, but in different contexts that you can use to help with your practice here. And if that doesn't work, ask your Lama. Talk to your Lama. Say, here's what I'm doing, here's what happened, and can you help me? And they can give you some other suggestions for achieving that kind of a state. So that's our Dharma talk for today. And so now we go back to the practice manual, and we will go to page 6. And first of all, recite Om Ah Hom Shri, or sing a sung chant, if you will, to receive the blessing of all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas for our practice and study today. Om Ah Hom Shri, 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 Om Ah Hom Shri. And then we'll do the long life prayers, first for His Holiness the Dalai Lama. For this realm, encircled by snow-covered mountains, you are the source of every benefit and bliss without exception. Tenzin Gyatso, you who are one with Avalokiteshvara, may you remain steadfast until samsara's end. And then His Holiness Khenchen Lama Rinpoche, in the Dharma Dhatu, appearing as Amitabha, in the Sambhogakaya form as Wisdom Buddha Manjushri, Pabasambhava's heart son Sangha Yeshe, incarnated as Panatana Lengpa in previous life, and Palche Padorje in this lifetime. May your life be longer than the duration of samsara, so that all your virtuous intentions can be accomplished. Please give me your heart blessing, so that my mind is united with yours in the Buddha nature, so I pray. Amaho, you understand the knowable objects of samsara, great teacher. You have realized the intent of the sacred Dharma, Yogi Khenpo. Your Dharma practices unification of the two. Khenpo Drimed Dawa, stainless moon, may you live long. And the wish for bodhicitta. Om Ah Hom Shri Ananta Benza Sarva Siddhi Pala Hom Ah. Glorious precious root Lama, sit on the lotus seat in the crown of my head. With your great kindness, please accept me. Please bestow the realizations of body, speech, and mind. In all the activities of the glorious Lama, may no wrong view arise even for a moment. By the devotion of seeing whatever he or she does as perfect, may the blessing of the Lama enter my mind. Throughout the succession of my lives, from the perfect Lamas, may I never be separated, and enjoying the glory of the Dharma, perfect all the qualities of the stages and the paths, and swiftly attain the stage of Vajradhara. The Lamas who have become the glory of the Dharma, may their lives be stable, may the land be entirely filled with doctrine holders, may the wealth and power of the patrons of the doctrine increase, and may the auspiciousness of the doctrine remain forever. The excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase, higher and higher. Om Mani Padme Hum Shri. Om Mani Padme Hum Shri. Om Mani Padme Hum Shri. I dedicate the merit of this practice for the benefit of all sentient beings. I dedicate the merit of this practice for the benefit of all sentient beings. I dedicate the merit of this practice for the benefit of all sentient beings. Thank you all for coming, being a part of this, including those of you watching online. And so just a couple of quick announcements. This is Sunday, so we could have another one. We'll do the second talk on the second of the 3 statements of Garab Dorje next week. And so please join us for that. And then, of course, on Wednesday, we have our Wednesday evening practice at 6 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time or Tucson time. And that one, this week, we are doing Guru Yoga, so it also includes a Dzogchen practice. You can bring something to share as a part of that, something simple. We don't do elaborate Dzogchen, particularly now with the COVID issues, things that are going on. Hopefully someday we'll get back to being able to do those kind of things. But for now, we're just making do, and we'll provide beverage. And then no yoga, or we've continued to discontinue the yoga because of COVID and the Delta variant coming back right now. But we will continue with wearing masks, as all of you are doing. Thank you. We appreciate that. And so those are the main things that are going on here. Also, for those of you who are here, we do collect clothes to give to Jose's, what is it called? Sisterhood, yes, thank you. And so if you bring things like that or other personal kinds of things that are needed, like toothbrush, toothpaste, those kinds of things, we do collect those and take those to them. So that is always a very helpful part of our generosity practice as Bodhisattvas. And so please abide softly and deeply in pure awareness and with loving kindness, compassion for all sentient beings, always and always. Thank you very much. Please be safe.